Okay, recording started. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Thanking our sponsors, Homeschool Life, G3, Home Education Magazine, and Blackboard Collaborate. I'm very excited to experiment with Blackboard Collaborate. Okay, everybody, here's a big moment. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Is everybody pencil? Can you go click on the map where you are? See if you can do that. I don't know if I'm doing it or not. Can you? Oops.
And I'm still listening, and I had to give him the permission. So look at the participant window, the top where it says main room. In that participant window, and you'll see a set of gray icons with red X's. I had to give them the pencil one, which was the fourth one over. You'll see it doesn't have a gray X.
I clicked on that, but it didn't click.
Next to the...
I don't know why. Anyway, good.
Anyway, it's working now.
All right, I see Allison and Janelle, Janet, Laura, Natalie, and Stacy at the moment. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a brief introduction, and then after everybody introduce themselves and see how this goes. Welcome. My name is Ken Danford. I am the co-founder and executive director of North Star, and now I'm actually president of Liberated Learners, which is the network to share our model and spread it around. I'm going to talk about Liberated Learners quite a bit as we go on today. So what I'm here to do is well, I listened to Pat Ferenga this morning, a bit of Gina just now. And I also saw some of the keynotes earlier this week, and there's fabulous people here telling you about discussing the glories of homeschooling, which I don't feel I have a lot to add to. And so what I want to do is a practical discussion of helping people begin homeschooling, who otherwise would not. And also what I'm really here to do is experiment with this technology. I've never done Blackboard Collaborate before, and I'm eager to see if I can make it work. So, with that being said, I'm curious just to go through real quick and hear everybody's voice and see if I can make this happen. Let's see. Adam, if I click on your microphone, can you say hello? No? Adam, can I hear you? Oops. I'm clicking you off a second. Allison, can you say hello?
Yeah, hi Ken, how are you? Yeah,
oh, good. Allison, Allison, say where you're from a minute.
I'm from Princeton, New Jersey. Actually, I'm currently in Washington D.C., but that's irrelevant. From Princeton, New Jersey, we have I'm part of the Princeton Learning Cooperative there, which is a North Star Model Center. So Ken will probably be talking about us at times, and so I work there. But what I want to say is, after you give us the mic, the person has to click on that little talk button, which is right below the little video box, and then you can talk. And then when you're done talking, you click it and it turns off, so that we're not all talking at the same time.
Oh, where's the talk button?
It's just below your picture. So there's a talk and a video button.
Oh, up here. Okay.
Yeah. So you give a person microphone access, and then we can click talk, and we can say something.
Okay, and then when you're done, I click your microphone to turn you off.
Right, turn me off.
Okay, Allison, I'm going to turn you off, and I'll go back to Adam one more time. Okay, thank you. I'll come back. Adam, you there? You know how to hit talk?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we hear you now, Adam. Where are you?
I'm located in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, excellent. All right. And how are you involved with homeschooling?
So we run an online learning community based on experiential learning. So we're a new startup company here in Canada, and so we're very much wanting to become involved with homeschooling because, as indicated in the last presentation we're at, experiential learning is a very powerful mechanism, and it's the majority of learning we experience in our lifetime. So we're looking to capture those experiences and provide them back to others so that they can become educated on them.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to keep going, turning you off. Cloud, which might be Claudia, which is also my daughter's name. Cloud, are you there? Click on the talk button underneath my photo if you're there.
She's on a tablet there, Ken. You can see the little icon next to her name. So she may or may not have talk capability, but there is a talk icon typically on those devices. It's the middle top, I think.
Okay, well, we're going to keep going a minute, see how many people are here, but Cloud, welcome. Turning you off. Dejan? You there? Hello?
Oh, I don't think you're giving the mic privilege. Oh, yeah, it does look like you have.
Deja? Yes? No, maybe so. Okay, going on. Dr. Bradshaw looks like. Not there? Not wanting to talk. Janelle? You there? Hello, Janelle? No? Janet? Garcia, are you there? Hello, Janet? All right, this isn't working so well. Sorry, everybody. Laura? Let me go real quick here. Laura, are you there? No. LW. LW, you there? Hello? All right, Natalie? Natalie, are you there?
Oh, you hear me?
I hear you, Natalie. That's cool. All right.
Okay.
Where are you, Natalie?
I.
Well, you're doubling up. Where are you? Oh, that's not working very well. Sorry.
Okay.
Nice
Okay.
Natalie,
Okay.
you were getting an echo on your audio. I think it's because you are on a portable device.
All right. Peggy, are you there? Peggy George. Any luck? No. All right. Stacy, last one. Stacy, you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, sure can. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Where are you from, Stacy?
From Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh, good. My son is about to go to the University of Colorado Boulder. I'm coming out there next week.
Oh, great place to visit.
All right. Well, look forward to hearing more from you. Okay. So that's step one of turning this thing off and on. And when you raise your hand later, I'll be able to turn your mics back on and off. And anybody who didn't speak yet can try again later. Raise your hand or something. Okay, now I'm going to toy with this survey thing because it's fun. The survey is underneath where it says Ken moderator. Below that are 4 icons: the smiley face, the step away from the session, the raise your hand, and the check mark. So let me ask you guys a yes or no question. How many of you either homeschooled yourself or have homeschooled your own children? Please answer yes or no, and let's see what happens to the screen. If it's the Allison has a check mark next to her name. Oh, 1, 2, 3. 3 green checks, 1 red check. That's where it comes up. I have no idea what was going to happen when you did that. So, 6-1. Oh, look at you guys go. This is cool. All right, maybe you are all veterans of this Blackboard Collaborate, but I'm not, so I find this highly entertaining. 7-1, you guys are homeschooling.
And we can do even more. So if you go up to polling, tools polling, you can publish the response to the whiteboard.
Tools polling.
Now you've basically admitted you didn't take the training.
No,
I'm going to forgive you because you're so dynamic.
I could change it to a multiple choice and whatnot, but I didn't know where it was going to come out. So.
Awesome.
Oh, it was a great training I had. That's why I knew I could even try this. Okay, so to those of you who were here, again, on a little bit of content. So I'm going to show you now. Watch this. I'm going to turn off the whiteboard for a minute. If we go to northstarteams.org, we'll go to what is North Star, and boom, you can see that the first thing there under About North Star is the link to a TED Talk that I gave in November, which tells my own story. So I don't want to repeat that very much right now, but you can see that at Amherst College in November, I had that opportunity. And basically what I say in that talk is that I was a public school graduate. I liked school. I became a teacher for idealistic reasons. and that I went on to teach public school, first in Maryland and then in DC, then in up here in Amherst, and became disillusioned teaching kids who basically didn't want to be there. I was teaching 8th grade U.S. history and felt really constrained and limited by my interactions with kids and was very discouraged and didn't know what to do. And my colleague Joshua Hornick finally gave me a copy of the Teenage Liberation Handbook by Grace Llewellyn, and I found that stunning and shocking, and learned there was this whole world of homeschooling, unschooling, as you guys already know. And Joshua and I decided that the thing we ought to do is help kids in school consider using this alternative. And that's really been my life for the last 20 years. I'm going back to the whiteboard now. We're going to come back to that. Does it stay up or does it? No, it doesn't stay up. Okay, well. So here's a picture of North Star now. I'm going to show you a couple pictures I have and go back and leave this one up later. And that's inside in the common room. And those are people engaged in some kind of serious conversation or some kind of class. So we have the North Star. That's the band. Some of the pictures came out tiny. I don't know, it's a technical issue from our website. As a tutorial outside, a one-on-one serious conversation happening. There's our sign. And so what I want to have the conversation about right now, let's see if we can do this, is to explore further what Pat was saying, what Gina was saying, what the rest of this conference is saying, which is that we know homeschooling, unschooling, self-directed learning are really wonderful, healthy ways to live life. We don't need to defend, justify, explain to ourselves what's the advantages, why it's so wonderful to be part of this world. And the question is, what can we do to expand access to this world? What does it take to help people who never do it try to homeschool? And so my first question to you guys, and I'm going to try to do this with an audio, is have you ever encountered friends, family, neighbors, friends of your kids, parents who say, I wish I could homeschool, but I can't? And what you see as the major barriers to preventing people from homeschooling. And I'm going to come to a slide where I'm going to type all this up, hopefully for you. If homeschooling, unschooling, self-directed learning is so great, why isn't everyone doing it? Okay, can someone tell me an example of an interaction you've had with somebody who said, well, sure, but I can't because, what do you find out there? What's the resistance? What's stopping people from embracing this lifestyle? Anybody interested in speaking? I don't see any hands up yet. Is any hands going? Well, oh, there's something beeped. Who beeped? Allison did. Hi, Allison. Let's see, if I put you on. Allison, what happens when people say to you, I'd like to homeschool, but?
Well, they think they're going to ruin their kids, that they won't know enough, like, you know, to tell their kids what they need to know. I just want to say there's also some people who have written some things in the chat box that you could capture.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, down here in applications.
My chat box was small. Hang on a second. Let me try to figure this out.
Yeah, you can make it bigger. Detach, if you detach it.
I detached it. I'm sorry to be slow here, but now I can't make it. It's grayed out.
Grab
Steve? What's going on in my chat?
Are you Mac or Windows?
Oh, never mind. I had it on the wrong setting below at the bottom. I see. Oh, look at all these people. Okay. Oh, look at all you local Amherst people. Okay. Thank you. Both parents work full time. I don't want to spend this much time. I often hear, okay. So, fear. Wait. So, what else do we got here? Can anybody relate an actual face-to-face story of an experience you've had recently? Of a direct, a parent that you know of a kid who's unhappy in school and says, I'd like to homeschool, but that's only something you do, that's not something that we do?
Hi, Ken. It's still me.
Oh, you
I did. I just had a parent, was in with a parent, and her kid's 12, and the parents are sitting there going, yeah, you know, she doesn't like school, hasn't liked it for a long time. And she didn't say why, though. She just said, I can't do it. I can't do it. She didn't say why, but it was just so clear in her face. She was so decided about that already. I can't do it. So just interesting.
Thank you. Steve, are you the one typing the things from the chat onto the whiteboard?
I am not.
So who's typing them up there? How does that happen? Who's whiteboard?
You've got some good helper.
Is the whiteboard authorized? Oh, it is. So people can do that. You guys are great. Who's ever doing that? Thank you. So what I'm after is there's some things that we can't overcome, but there's a lot of logistics that we can overcome. When people say that homeschooling is something other people do, right? And so that's what we're devoted to is helping some school-bound person feel like they have an option to getting out of school often and training often. And so what we decided we needed to offer, let me go to the slide, I gotta move my chat box here, is the things that seem to be really essential to helping people embrace homeschooling when they think they can't, is a credible personal explanation of the approach. Somebody like one of us going to a family and going, especially with teenagers, homeschooling doesn't have to be schooling at home, replicating school in your house. It can be an entirely open lifestyle of pursuing your interests and strengths. Something actually more akin to what happens during the summer for children than what school is. That homeschooling is a way to have permanent summer, and if you and your teens are alive and alert and vibrant during the summertime and then close up during the school year, maybe you want to consider how to create this approach for yourself year round. Now, and it doesn't have to mean that parents are doing the teaching. In fact, as teens get older across the country, across the last 30 years, most homeschooling teens are not taught very much by their parents. So it's not really what the whole movement is about. So sharing the history, sharing, trying to pierce some of the stereotypes and assumptions people have about what homeschooling must mean is essential and has to come from somebody who has some credibility and capacity to convince people that it's not a crazy thing to do. The second thing that we do is have a physical gathering, a local gathering place, a headquarters. And at that headquarters, we have a calendar of classes and activities. So the writing workshop, the history, the band, the theater, all kinds of discussion groups, philosophy, things that people might want to do, we offer, so that people don't have to create everything from scratch. It's also reassuring for people to have one-on-one tutoring potential, whether it's for something basic like math or some conventional academic, as well as something more esoteric, some kind of personal interest in economics or statistics or a guitar lesson or German or any kind of thing that people want to do but not in a group. A critical mass of other teens for socializing, as Gina was saying in the last session, you know, some of the teens are concerned about social lives and dating and interacting with other people. So just a club where you can go and be yourself and be present is very important for most people to choose to leave school. A lot of kids will stay in school just and suffer through. And finally, you know, support for finding things outside of the center, out in the community. If one's going to leave school and embrace this lifestyle, then having people looking out for ways to volunteer, to get jobs, to do other community activities, the way that people sometimes in school do after school or only on the weekends, and we consider how to do that during the day as well, is really important. Having an advisor and someone who's holding this set of things for people together is essential. But and so I'm going to go over to the North Star site for a moment, tour you around there for just a moment, and then I want to see if I can generate some more of a conversation with you guys. See if it works. Here we are. So if we look at North Star and you go down to this calendar and classes button, you can see, in August there's nothing, but we go to September, that there's all kinds of groups that meet once a week. And I'm clicking on a Monday here. These classes are not for credits. They're not for grades. Nothing's required. You know, it's like joining the senior center if you're an elder, or joining the YMCA if you're my age. There's lots of things happening. You can do them or not. If you're in them, you should come every time and be an active member. But if you're not, that's fine. And we don't give extra points or awards to people who do more classes or less. Some kids want to do every single group on the calendar, or if they could. And some kids come feeling very suspicious and fearful of going into a classroom with, you know, 5 or 8 other kids that's very personal and open and feel on the spot, and they actually do 0 or 1 of these classes at a time, if at all, at the beginning of their time at North Star. So it's not all about the calendar, but the calendar is really reassuring to teens and parents that if they leave school, there's actually a structure and there's actually a place. And, you know, go back to those pictures and to say that it looks like this, you know, that there's really nice people there doing interesting things is really reassuring. So, oops, that's too far back. And the other part, the other early piece of this presentation I want to make, and I want to try to turn it into questions and answers and take your questions and go from there, is that in the last 4 or 5 years, we've been working with Allison and her colleague Joel Hammond at Princeton to create more of a organization to help spread the model. Oh, Peggy says we won't see the page. I'm missing what page she's not seeing. Let's go ahead and turn Peggy on for a moment over here. What are you talking about? Peggy, let me come here to your, no, it's not working. Audio. Hi, Peggy, are you there?
Ken, she was talking about when you're doing the website tour. She was just letting you know that if the URL doesn't change, then it doesn't shift for everybody, but I think you're past that.
Oh, okay. You mean when I go to, okay, I'm going to go to the organization we've created now to help spread the model and share what we're doing with others. Liberated Learners Inc.org. Okay. Now, Steve, stay with me here. If I go over here to member map, can people see this map or not? Only I can see this map.
No, we can see it. Anytime you do something that changes the URL, it sends the new address to everybody and that updates their page. But if there's something on the page, like you were to click on one of these map placement points, we don't see that happen because the URL doesn't change.
Okay. So can you, if I change the size of this map and zoom in and out, people don't know that I'm doing that?
We don't.
But you can zoom in and out on your own computer?
We can. It's as though we have our own separate browser running and you're just sending us the web pages. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on North America, but you can see the yellow buttons mean people have come to our workshops or people have spoken to directly about our model over the phone or Skyping, that what North Star is, what the model is all about, and what Liberated Learners is trying to spread is helping people have an alternative to going to school. Don't find a private school. Don't find a public school. Just stop going. And people like us can offer support to make that appealing and successful and sustainable. So yellow buttons just mean the first conversations. The dark blue buttons mean they're actual centers that are open, real programs that are members of our network that are up and running. The pink ones or light purple ones, whatever this color is, are people who have programs, aren't really members of Liberated Learners, they're affiliates, we call them, because they sort of stumbled into this on their own or they've taken a little bit of advice from us and are doing it on their own. But pink means that they're actually helping kids not go to school in these places and providing support for people to homeschool who otherwise probably would not be. And so
And you can see that, recently I've had conversations with people all over the world. It's pretty fun. I'm zooming out now on my computer to look at the global map. And there you have it. And so the goal is for me, and to be here and discuss with you now with, I guess, more questions and answers or whatever would inspire you, is what does it take to help people overcome the obstacles, the fear, the uncertainty of leaving school so that they can enjoy this lifestyle? Let me see. And basically what I'm doing is some of you have been to Arrow. I was doing another quick survey. How many of you have been, do I have to clear the last survey or not? Those of you involved with homeschooling or not? Did we clear the last survey? Or?
Yeah, just click the clear. There you go.
Okay. All right. So let me ask, how many people have either been to Arrow or heard me talk about North Star before? So I don't have to repeat everything any further than this. Allison has. Peggy has. Okay. Good. Are there questions that I can answer or that you would like to discuss with everybody else here about making this option available and possible for others? Not seeing too many questions. Natalie's away. Oops, in the chat room. Okay. Well, I'm fearful of just rambling on about North Star. It's great. One of the things I can tell you in this consulting business, I just got a letter yesterday from someone who's starting a program in Providence, Rhode Island, and they're not on the map yet. I think I may have spoken to them a while back, but they weren't really doing anything yet. And what she said to me was, and I'll take Peggy's question in just a minute there. What stayed with me as I was organizing this new program to help people homeschool third graders and up is, what's the least we have to offer to help somebody leave school? And I'm pleased that that's a conceptual question she held on to, that if you're trying to help people leave school and create a whole program, I believe that what we want to start with is as any single person can do to maximize their impact on others, what's the least we have to do to help people get out of school? What do we have to offer? Before I offer everything, what are the basics that we have to offer so that somebody could actually consider using this approach? And I think that's a helpful guiding question. Peggy, you have a question that says, do you accept students who are not self-directed learners? And the answer is, I think, yes, in the sense that, do you mean homeschool in a more traditional homeschooling approach as opposed to unschooling, or do you mean kids who are in school as opposed to homeschoolers? We don't work with school kids on an after school or instead of in addition to school basis. So people are either in school or out of school. But if they're out of school and they're doing something more parent-directed homeschooling and they come to North Star 1 day or 2 days a week, that's fine with us. And we don't feel in charge of how a family pursues it. Let's see, any kids who aren't used to directing their own learning and taking responsibility for their choices? Yes, that is most of the kids who come to North Star. Basically what happens, Peggy, is I meet teenagers who are in school and miserable. They wish they could have more time and space. And they're a little depressed or anxious, or they really want to be outdoors, they really want to make their music, or they have writing they really want to do, or books they really want to read. And I say to them, okay, stop going to school. We'll help your family write a homeschooling plan. You'll be out of school tomorrow. And they look at me, and they can't really believe I'm speaking English. and we do that, and they're out of school and they come to North Star, and they're so used to being told what they can and can't do that they have to test us. They say, I'm not actually, the writing workshop happens, but they don't want to go, and they sort of in our face tell us they're not going to that class. And we say, okay. And then they say, I'm getting up and going to the bathroom now. And we go, okay. And they say, I'm going to go walk outside right now, and I may or may not come back right away. And we say, okay. There's a lot of time of testing, of kids trying to gather, like, well, what do we really want from them? What's the trick? What's the catch? When are we going to blow it and change up on them? And they have to figure out that we're not going to. That's not really what we're about. And so we frequently meet kids for whom this is just strange. And I would say, sure, they don't arrive self-directed in terms of academics, but it's not that complicated. I mean, kids know how to spend their time after school. Hopefully they do, or on the weekends, or in the evenings, or during the summer, or during vacations. And once they actually believe that we're not claiming authority over them, and we say, well, how do you like to spend your time? What do you want to do? Is there something you'd like to try that you haven't done before? What support, or what support from us do you want in doing any of those things? Then we can make some traction and get somewhere. Okay. Do people feel compelled? I can't, it's hard to gather from the computer conversation here. What's your sense in the community at large among homeschoolers that there's a commitment or a desire to make this approach more accessible to others? I don't know if anybody shares this vision very much. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to know that it's true. It's one thing to maybe say homeschooling is a good idea. Maybe you want to consider it, but you actually feel a mission, a desire to help kids get out of school. Do you know people who are doing that? Do you feel a need? Do you know anybody who? I don't know if that's part of this conference. That's part of the sentiment going around. Is this a model to supplement homeschooling or to replace it? It's certainly to supplement it. North Star is not taking responsibility for what kids learn or don't learn. Families with kids under 16 have to write homeschooling plans to their superintendents and file the right papers. And just like joining a YMCA isn't replacing living a healthy life, it's just one place to do it. North Star is clearly a supplement. And again, people come to North Star maybe just 2 or 3 days a week, not 4 or 5 days a week, so they could come 4 days. The goal is not to have people come to North Star all the time and take over. And if you're a veteran homeschooler, the goal is not to take over homeschooling from the family. It's to offer a community. But anyway, I'm curious, and I don't see hands raising. I guess maybe this is not a forum for good conversation. Actually, though I was hoping it would be. Do people feel moved to help others get out of school?
Hey, I'll chime in, Ken. So the interesting piece for me is, so as a parent of 4 children, our last child who's at home has said to me, in no uncertain terms, she wants a regular school experience. She doesn't want any of this crazy independent schooling. She loves the structure. She likes the teachers. She likes playing on the sports team. So part of it is sort of respecting agency and saying, okay, this is a choice, and you can choose which one you want to do, and also recognizing that oftentimes it takes a while for people to even get comfortable with the idea of shifting out of traditional schooling. So I guess my answer to the question would be yes, I have a desire to help people become proactive learners, but I also try and protect their agency and not tell them this is, that they have to shift from school to unschooling or homeschooling.
Right. Thanks, Steve. My 2 children both attend public school. My son just graduated from high school. He was a senior. I just went to attend a local public school, and my daughter's going into 10th grade at a local public school, and they think I'm kind of nuts. I know part of what I do professionally. And frankly, many kids at North Star have siblings who choose to stay in school too. So not everybody wants this alternative, that's for sure. And a lot of people prefer to deal with school on its terms. And I'm all for that as long as the kids feel like they're choosing it and they're choosing, everybody gets to choose their problems. So, it's very exciting. So it's interesting to see that we have that in common. How old is your daughter, did you say?
So our last child is 16, and she loves everything about a traditional school experience. But she also loves reading Peter Gray's column in Psychology Today, and having long discussions with me about everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And does she see kids, does she ever say to you, Dad, boy, I saw some kids who really could be better off homeschooling? Did you ever come home with that?
Well, she'll come home and say, I'm shocked at how many kids here are getting nothing out of their school experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's part of what I hope I'm doing is respecting her becoming an adult thinker and going through her own processes. And she just knows herself well enough to know that she wouldn't enjoy being completely independent. She likes the social experience and she likes the school, but she's also a deep thinker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Well, we make a strong case at North Star to say that school is optional. That's our motto, our slogan, our bumper sticker, learning is natural, school is optional. And we go to great lengths to say something neutral as opposed to school is bad or school is jail or school is awful, so that kids who sometimes come to North Star and choose to go back can, without judgment from us, and that kids whose siblings or parents work in schools or siblings choose to go to school, there's not a lot of ground to be gained from us being loud and obnoxious that school is terrible. So it's much more helpful for us to be out there saying school is optional, and frankly, school is irrelevant. You can go to school and get your diploma, or you can not go to school and do every single thing. The school diploma, high school diploma doesn't open a single door. Every single thing kids do with high school diplomas, homeschoolers have been doing for the last 30 years without high school diplomas, or at most a GED if they want. So we try to stay neutral on the choice and then encourage agency. I'm looking at the chat, and so Peggy, we encourage people over and over again to not think of North Star as a school, but sometimes they do. And parents do, just because it's so hard when they've been in school all their lives until 14 or 15 years old. And they come to us, they just think of North Star as the place they go to learn. And that's actually the part we're trying to diminish. We say the glory of stopping going to school is the opportunity to learn everywhere and anywhere all the time. And so you don't go to North Star to learn. You can come to North Star for lots of reasons. And, learning something specific might be one of them, but to do your learning at North Star is not essential. But a lot of times, especially, based on what I was reading in Gina's chat a little bit before, sometimes teens and parents like to refer to North Star as a school to others, to grandparents, to aunts and uncles, because they don't have to get into all the negative stereotypes and defensiveness about homeschooling, unschooling. But in general, I try to, and we as a staff try to diminish or eliminate the use of the word school around going to North Star as a school, and that because I think philosophically people miss the boat if they think that North Star is a school in their lives, and so it's one thing. I say they can call it a school if they know they're lying and they know, they can smile while they're doing it and saying they're just cutting off the conversation to protect themselves. But they can't call it a school if they actually think it's a school. If you ask students what they're learning while they're there, what would they say? Sometimes they're learning actual content things by going to classes or tutoring, things you would expect kids to say there. But more grandly, kids are learning that they can be trusted, that they can be in charge of their own lives, that they don't have to do anything that things aren't worth doing just because other people say so, and that it's okay to make their own decisions. most of the kids haven't had that experience. Does North Star provide learning tools such as computers, iPads, etc.? We have a few computers for kids to use, but not very many. A lot of kids bring in laptops or iPads or phones. You know, the technology is the least essential thing to provide. If you choose to open a center and help people, you know, get out of school and use homeschooling as an approach, I think what you can find, sure, 1 or 2 computers might be useful for a certain basic thing, but the ways to learn stuff are ubiquitous. There's, you know, between the libraries and other systems, and if people have computers at home, there's lots of ways to learn things, and the technology is the least. Having the center provide the technology on the assumption that kids wouldn't have it otherwise is sometimes true, but it's ultimately far down the list of the roles of the center in kids' lives. So. I'm going to click on Allison in a minute, see if Allison has anything you'd like to add. Allison, turn you on for a moment. You've been active on the chat. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Would you like to make any other comments about what it takes to support people to embrace homeschooling?
Wow. Okay, so you caught me on the spot here.
Oh, you can decline. Okay.
So you were talking about sort of what it looks like. So Peggy asked, you know, what does, you know, what would they say they were learning if, you know, while they're there? And I think that's a really broad, you know, kids say just there's so many things that are happening. It's like different for every kid, and I think that's the beauty of it. So in a couple of previous sessions, I've heard people talking about how we need to value more diversity of and the uniqueness of the different human beings. And I think that's one of the real strengths of this model, is that different kids could be doing really wildly different things, from, you know, curled up in the couch with a blanket and their phone. They just came out of school, they've got like horrible anxiety and just like they're on medications and life has not been good for them, and they're, you know, maybe a month out and they're just sitting curled up. A year later we'll say, yeah, remember when that happened to me? I was busy like learning about who I was and who I am and what I want in life for myself. And that was a really critical time for me. When we look at that and go, holy mackerel, that does not look good, right? You know. So I think, and obviously there'll be kids in classes who are really engaged, and they're really engaged in one tiny little bit of the thing that the whole class is about, right? They're just really interested in this one thing, and they'll be going after that. And it's just so many different things. And so valuing that sort of broad diversity of what human beings can be good at and what they can be interested in, and aligning those to where they might go in life, I think is one of the really foundations of what we do.
Thank you.
Adding on there. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to rev back up and just say that most of the kids who come to North Star that I meet are families, teens and families who would not be homeschooling. There is a pretty active local homeschooling community around Hadley, Massachusetts, Amherst, Northampton. And the vast majority of those families are dubious at best about joining North Star. They're do-it-yourself homeschooling, unschooling people, and they're not all dying to join North Star and pay us a fee to belong, and that's not the outlook. And they're very successfully homeschooling. A few of them do choose to join North Star as the kids turn 13, 14, 15 years old, and they want more social opportunities, and the homeschooling community thins out. But providing activities and a club for existing homeschoolers is not a business. It's not sufficient. There's not enough people out there who want to pay for that. And so basically what North Star has been doing for the 18 years, going into year 19 now, is tell people who are in school who are unhappy that they could just stop. Yesterday was your last day of school. There's a method and a system and a support and a history of people who have chosen not to go to school through 12th grade that isn't the negative version of dropping out. It's a very positive thing. And so I'm constantly talking to school-based kids and parents and saying, if you don't like it in there, we can help you stop, right? And that's a very specific thing to be doing. So, and I find that, you know, that helping someone who's a school-based family who never dreamed they could homeschool to be able to do so is probably the most profound, helpful thing I could offer somebody else. You know, I say in the TED Talk, I just see kids change before my very eyes sometimes, and the parents start crying when I say there's a way out. You don't have to do 4 or 5 more years of this. You can start your life right now. The thing that you like about summer, you can have permanently. It's something that no one else says this to people. I posted a blog piece about a recent opening conversation on the alternativetoschool.com site last month with these fellas, and so I find it completely compelling and inspirational to be able to help somebody change their lives as profoundly as opting out of school completely. So hopefully there's more people out there who want to do such a thing, and that's what we're doing now with the LibraryLearners.org. Peggy says, this is a confusing message to me. So if North Star isn't a school, how can you tell students to drop out of school? I tell kids in school that what they and their families can do is file homeschooling papers tomorrow. They can stop attending school and do that with a very positive attitude that it's the best thing they could possibly do for themselves. Stop going to school and become homeschoolers. If they're over, yes, If they're over 16, as you may know, there's no legal process to start homeschooling. And I say just stop going to school, but do it with a positive attitude as the best possible thing you could do for yourself right now. North Star is not a school, so it does not offer diplomas. And so, you know, to go to UMass in the military and some other kinds of programs, yes, you need a diploma, and the GED is a test you can take at 16. It's very simple. And you know, sometimes people handcraft their own personal transcripts or stories or portfolios, which are very useful to move on to the world. A lot of times kids go on to community college and start that without a GED and end up getting an associate's degree, still never having a GED, and transferring on to 4-year schools, still never having a diploma. So, you know, the diploma is not the gatekeeper that we think it is. Occasionally it is a limiting factor, and so getting a GED and throwing it in the drawer with your passport and birth certificate and pulling it out when you need it, that's something you can do at age 16. It's very easy to do. It's useful, but we're encouraging school kids to stop going to school and to have their families embrace homeschooling. Do we help families develop homeschooling plans? Absolutely. I give them a template, and I tell them, take this home, look at it, and then write up your own ideas, and let me look at it, and then we'll submit it. You'll submit it to the superintendent. I tell them this is the least important part of the process. Getting approved is like getting a driver's license. Everybody gets one. It's not that big a deal. So there's a process. It's nice to do simple and cordial relationship with the superintendent's office. So we'll help you file a homeschooling plan. Is the template unique to Massachusetts? Yes, but I don't think that it's any more. Massachusetts is probably more complicated than most states. It's very basic. It's very easy to become an approved homeschooler. And I tell the families that there's no enforcement on the back end of this. So promise something sensible, reasonable, professional. Look like you're capable parents. And at the back end of this, at the end of the year, you'll write them a letter, a little narrative saying that you've had to all the things your kid did, and you'll be approved. There's no fear. It's not a fear-based thing. And so the thing to be afraid of or the thing that to be anxious or concerned about is not the relationship with the authorities, it's actually your relationship with your child. When you pull your kid from school and try to embrace homeschooling, it just changes the dynamic. And the real life issues and concerns you have as a parent are going to be paramount. And it won't all be peaches and cream. It could be hard. So don't get too caught up in this template business. In Arizona, their parents don't even have to provide a homeschool plan. Yes, I have a link for the template. I can send that along. In New Jersey, no need for a plan. So anyway, the legal homeschooling process is so simple and easy, even in Massachusetts where it's harder than in most other places. It's just a distraction. I don't want people to be focused on that. What I want people to be focused on is what does it take to live well with your teen and your family if you eliminate school and say, okay, let's start with your concern, with everybody's priorities and concerns. Steve asks about finances. The North Star's budget is now about $350,000. And it did not start that way. It's growing that way. It's been significantly lower most years. We charge about now charge going into this year $7,500 for a year for someone to come 4 days a week or 3 days a week. That's $7,500 a year, and we charge $5,500 for 2 days a week and $3,000 for 1 day a week. And we get about 2/3 of our money from membership fees. We turn nobody away for being unable to pay those fees. So most people can either pay them, or if they can't, they pay what they can afford and do some work for North Star. So we've made it a commitment at North Star to help any kid leave school and use homeschooling. That's been part of our mission. That's why we're a nonprofit. So we do about $65,000 a year in fee reductions off of those fee schedules I just listed. Separately from getting income from the fees, we do fundraisers and we seek contributions as a nonprofit. We've now had 3 large-scale fundraisers, each producing more than $25,000. And we also seek donations and grants. And well, not grants, donations and outside support. And then beyond that, we sublet our building at night, and we do some consulting and some other kinds of work. But most of the money about 2/3 of the money comes from membership fees, and most of the rest comes from either fundraising or independent donations to North Star. Money's always hard. We have about 3 full-time staff at North Star, averaging about $40,000 a year. And we have 4 more part-time people, and they average about $25 an hour, which is a pretty reasonable rate, but it's not great. And beyond the 7 core staff, we have about 30 volunteers a week who come into North Star to do tutoring or teach classes. We have a large array of friends and allies who want to be involved in the learning and the community of North Star because it's a fun place to be. So we have a lot of people. Sometimes they're alumni. Sometimes, within 18 years, some of the alumni are old enough to be pretty darn useful. Some of their parents, some of the current parents, some of just local friends and adults we know, senior citizens, people with time on their hands and want to come in and do a class and share something they like. So our extended staff is huge, and we don't pay them. So it's mostly a multiplication effort to raise enough money in fees and fundraising to pay the core staff. So, and we have several groups in startup mode. Well, Princeton's come a long ways in 4 years. Up in Ottawa, there's a group called Compass. In New Haven, there's a group called Beacon. In Portland, there's something called Open Road. There's a new group opening in Dedham. And everybody's basically struggling with the finances of figuring out how they can charge enough money to provide these services. And, you have to bear a little bit of overhead for rent and utilities and insurance. Mostly it's salaries and paying a couple of people to be at the center. We have a very socioeconomically diverse population because we have people who pay very little. We're pretty public about accommodating every family. And so there are families who pay very little of the $7,500 but are still part of North Star. And And also some families only use us 2 days a week and they pay less or something like that. So we're pretty inclusive, actually. The idea for me has always been to make this approach to living and learning, namely homeschooling, unschooling, self-directed learning, as accessible as possible for all people. Because there's a lot of kids in school who are really suffering. And we're doing pretty well by that. And like I say, there's socioeconomically, it's pretty. We work with some very low-income families, and they don't income work. Do you expect anything in return for subsidizing their fees? We ask them to help with work and cleaning, and sometimes they're spectacular, and sometimes they're not. And that's just how it goes. From an analysis, we don't in Princeton. That means you don't expect anything. You just offer the fee reduction, and that's that. Allison, I'm going to turn you back on to elaborate a little bit on why you do that. Oh, wait, main room, wait a second. Allison, where are you? There you are. Yeah, Allison,
yeah. So I'm not sure why we don't actually, but we don't need to. You know, like we are in a space that is a basement of a church, and so we don't have the cleaning. So North Star, looking at this building, they use all this building. You guys rent it, but you have to maintain it. You have to like do all of that, and you know everything. We don't. We're in a place that offers cleaning, and there's not, you know, nothing in particular that we would ask people to do. And interestingly, though, I think a lot of people that have the ability can offer to do things for us. And so people who are, you know, getting fee reductions often ask us, you know, let us know what we can do to help. Let us know what we can do to help. So if we come up with something, great. Maybe they'll just go and man a table at a festival and, you know, talk about their being a parent of a kid who goes to the center and what that's like, you know, so speak from their own experience, not necessarily, you know, the way we would talk about Princeton Learning Cooperative, but in a way that's very meaningful to people. And so that can be great. And so, you know, whatever they can do, it could be, you know, put a, you know, a yard sign in their front yard, and you know that, and anybody can do that obviously, but I think sometimes people who are on fee reduction maybe speak up a little bit more because they, you know, they're thankful for that opportunity. So.
Thank you, Allison. Peggy, you have had lots of questions in the chat. I'm going to turn you on for just a moment and see if there's anything you'd like to ask directly. Because I like hearing people's voices if I can turn you on with your microphone. Peggy, are you there? Can you talk or not? Oh, maybe not. Hello? Okay, I'm turning you off. Well, it looks like our time must be about up. Steve maybe has gone away. I don't know. Steve, are you there?
Ken, I've bounced back in, and
okay.
Because we have sessions that are starting now, I have to tell you to stop.
Yes. Okay, everybody who's been here, more than welcome to email me directly in Northstar. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. I figure time is up. It's 1 o'clock.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you for the opportunity.